Good evening. I am Bob Salas. I am the Director of Neighborhood and Family Services for the City of San Angelo. And we're here tonight with staff, and we have a representative of the development, Mr. Paul Holden over here. We're here to provide information on a low-income housing tax credit project that's proposed for the north part of town. It's going to be on the corner of West 33rd and Bryant. Councilman Self is here to listen to your issues and concerns, and between the developer, staff, and the council, we'll be able to provide, hopefully we'll be able to provide the information you're asking, okay? We do have a few folks here that I introduced. Mayor Morrison is here. We have the city manager, Daniel Valenzuela, and then we have Councilwoman Farmers here as well, so welcome, appreciate it. The agenda is pretty simple. I'll just explain what a low-income housing tax credit project is, and then I'll hand it over to the developer who has some slides to talk about the project itself. And then basically we'll open it up to the floor for questions, issues, concerns, those kind of things, okay? All right. A low-income housing tax credit project is a federally funded program through the Treasury Department managed by the Texas Department of Housing and Community Affairs through the state. Every year, hundreds of developers compete for these tax credits. If they win them, they will be able to build, and it will offset the cost of building these properties. It's an incentive for them to build affordable housing and maintain them for 15 years. That's what the program is about. We have two in here in San Angelo. We have actually three in the region. The region is between Midland, Odessa, and San Angelo primarily. We compete with them, and we had 5 at the beginning of the year. We're down to 3. 2 here in San Angelo, 1 in Valley View, this one here in Maplewood Park, and then we have 1 in Midland. And these 3 are going to compete, and by end of the summer, they'll announce who the winner is, and they will get the tax credits and they'll move forward. So that's how it works. Right now I'd like to hand over to Mr. Paul Holden. If you would, just kind of provide information on that project, would you please?
Thank you. Thank you. My name is Paul Holden, and I'm with Zimmerman Properties. My office is in San Marcos, but Zimmerman Properties, their corporate offices are in Springfield, Missouri. A little bit about us, and then I want to come back to what Bob had to say about the tax credit business, because there's an odd association with that name, because it's called low income housing tax credits. And when you say that, people, they go, oh, and then you start explaining what it is, and they go, well, why don't you change the name? That doesn't make any sense. These are really nice, and they are. But Zimmerman Properties is part of Wilhoit Properties, and the company has been in business, since the 68, I believe it was. And there are 2 half brothers, Mr. Wilhoit and Mr. Zimmerman, started this company. And in 1988 or 86, I believe, well, the program started in 86. They started building these communities in 87 or 88, I believe it was. And that's all they do. They go and do nothing but develop brand new. They don't do reconstruction. Brand new apartments that are funded by the tax credit business. This company has its own development company. It has a construction company. It's a property management company. And so it goes stem to stern. They currently have 88 communities, and in Texas, I think we have 23 communities in Texas right now. I came with them 13 years ago, and I put all 23 of those together for them. But these are the different states that we have done business in, and we would do business all over the country, but it just gets to be too big for our little company. Here are some of the properties that I have done in Texas. But Maplewood Park, when I came into San Angelo, I had passed by this area because I've done some deals up in Amarillo and in Big Spring and several different places around. And I've passed by that site 1,000 times, I swear. I never paid any attention to it, but this year it got my attention, and we put it under contract, and I thought this is going to be a really nice area for what we build. And it's going to be 42 bedroom, 2 bath units, and then there's going to be 32 3 bedroom, 2 bath units. We don't have any 1 bedrooms in this particular style of community. And it is fully loaded with amenities. As you can see, we've got all the Energy Star rated appliances, and the company really does pack in a lot of things in these apartments. They also put in full-size washers and dryers that are at no charge to the residents, and it makes a big difference to them. We also have. This is only going to be 72 units, so it's not going to be as large of a community, but we try to put in as much as we can on the outside with children playground equipment. I'm not sure if this one is going to have a pool or not, but total cost on this particular project, just the construction costs are $6.3 million. Total development cost on this is going to be probably $7.5 up to $8 million total cost, including the land and all of our engineering and everything else that goes with it. So it's not an inexpensive property. Now this is how it's planned on laying out on the property. Now you'll see just south of this, just a little bit. This particular view is on 33rd Street, and North Bryant is right down here. There's a small strip that remains here that the seller owns that he wanted to keep for some commercial use. And we're planning 2 entrances off of 33rd Street. And we try to limit the amount of entrances and exits that we have on it. But you see the clubhouse is right up at the very front, and then we have the buildings going through. No, this one doesn't have a pool in it. But along the north side of here, we have some single family, and we're planning on fencing that off just to put some barrier between us that's, whatever the community would like, 6-foot cedar fence or whatever that may be, or landscaping, or a combination of both. And on the other sides, we're planning on having something more of a decorative type of fencing. And these are the floor plans of the units, and these are pretty big units. Let me just explain, just in a kind of a nutshell. I wanted to go back with Bob. Bob, do you have the microphone that I could just walk with? When I stand up there in front of that thing, I feel like I'm a salesman trying to sell y'all Amway or something, So, if you don't mind, when Bob was talking about how this program works, let me give it to you in a little bit better of a nutshell. We are developers, and we build apartments. And we build apartments that run, look, smell, and feel just like any other apartment you're ever going to see in this world. The difference is that the amount of equity that comes into these projects is taken in by the sale of housing tax credits. We'll get these it's a federal program, it's administered by the state. If we are successful in winning this competition, the state will give us an allocation of so many tax credits, and we can take that and sell it on the open market and receive so much money on the dollar from that. We get about 80 cents on the dollar for each tax credit. We'll bring that in, and that allows the equity to be taken care of, and plus we have a debt piece that goes with it and whatever other financing that we have on it. That allows us to go forward, and as a restriction of us getting those tax credits, the federal government has said, all right, we're going to do this for you. Now you do this for us. This started in 1986 as part of the Tax Reform Act of the Reagan administration. And the reason it started is that they kept seeing that the middle-class worker was being squeezed out of housing. They were being forced to go into substandard housing. And this was the workforce housing that everybody said, we have to have workforce housing. But they're not building it for them. And so this takes the place of that, and it's a band of income. It's not the low income that's taken care of by like Section 8 housing, because we're not Section 8 housing or associated with HUD in any way. But we are the next band of income up from that. And then above that, you have the Class A or the market rate properties. And so we've agreed to limit the amount of income that people can make to live here, and to limit the amount of rent that we're going to charge. But we still have to maintain this just like a business. We have to make sure that it looks nice, it's clean, everything is so we can do our leasing. Because we have to lease it, we have to take care of any financial shortfalls that take place. Those are all part of what we do, and just like any other community does. And so, let's go to the rents that we're going to charge. This is all by county's median income, and these are our proposed rents that we have. And there's 4 different types of units that we're going to. Our income basis we're going to look at. We're looking at a 30%, which is a 30% of the average median income of Tom Green County. And then we have a 50, 60, and then we have some market rate units that anyone can live in there that walks in the door. Now on the 30% units, what we like to do is we like to take as many seniors as we possibly can, and we put them into those units. Because we find that there is, typically, not all the time, but typically we have a wife that her husband has died and she's living on his either Social Security or his retirement or whatever it is. And she has too much stuff to move into a 1-bedroom unit. And she wants a 2 and possibly a 3-bedroom. So their income bands, they fit perfectly into these. And then the 50% will find that between that and the 60%, we're looking at first-year teachers, possibly first-year police officers. In another city we were in, we found that the sheriff's department, their first-year sheriff's department qualified for our properties. So we have 3 that live there, and it's really nice to have patrol cars sitting there at night. So that is our proposed rental rates on those, and they're not going to change. They do change a little bit every year, but that is where we're going to at least start at. Now, what we do is that when someone comes in to rent a property from us, we're going to go through a full background check on them, and we're going to check their criminal background history, their credit history, their liens, credit bureau reports. They're going to have to go through a pretty good verification process in order to live here. And once they pass that, then they can stay as long as they want. This is one of the properties that I built in Amarillo a couple of years ago. This is a little bit bigger property. It was 132 units. But this is going to be similar architecture to what we're going to have here. Colors will be a little bit different. And this is the kind of tot lot that we have. This particular one has a swimming pool to it. The one here in Maplewood Park is not planned to have one, but it'll have a cabana like this and some barbecue pits that people can use and things like that. And these are some of the other properties that we built in just various parts of the state. And we've been very active in building. We really like this program. And the reason for it is that the equity requirement is a big piece of the development business, and this supplies it for us, and it supplies enough that we can reach down and help that blue-collar worker or white-collar worker, whatever it may be, and supply a really nice property for them to live in. Now, when I first got into this business, my wife, we were driving by, and I wanted to show her one, and she looked at it and she says, "Well, which one is it?" I said, "Well, it's this one right here." And she says, "There's no way. I'd live in there." And I said, "Yeah, sweetheart, you would live there. Those are nice properties. They're very big and they're well kept, and we have to maintain them. We have to be the owner of it for the next 15 years minimum." But I've been here 13 years, and I've never seen this company sell any of their properties. They just don't. It's gone. The company is now down to the second generation of ownership running this company now. I think we have about 300 employees total, but we do work in about 8 or 9 different states right now. We're going to branch out and go to some others eventually. But all that to say, what we're planning on building here is going to be something that you're going to be very proud of. Once we finish with it, we're going to be proud of it because we have to continue to own it. And if we're going to own it, we're going to make sure it looks good and from the street that it has a nice appeal to it. And I hope it is something that you enjoy also. Now, given that, can we open up questions, Bob? Or?
And I guess I should explain why the city's involved, and that's because they're asking the city to sign a resolution of support to go with the application. And believe it or not, although we're not providing any financial support, that letter adds points to the application, so it makes them competitive. Without that letter, or without that resolution, they're probably not going to get funded. So that's why it's important. That's why the city, that's why we're here tonight, to let you know that it will be going to council on the 17th of March. So you hear this, we'll answer your questions. If you have more concerns, you can show up on the 17th and provide your input to the city council as they make up their decision on whether or not to support it. Okay? That's where we're at. At this point, like I said, we have staff. We have Mr. Patrick Howard, who is the Development Services Director. He will answer all those zoning questions that you may have. We have Rusty Pale, not a Rusty Pale, Rusty Pale, who actually is, he's the water guy. He's the assistant director, I believe, of the water utilities. Yes, right. And then we have Mr. Shane Calden over here, who he's the operations director, and he'll answer your questions on traffic, et cetera, et cetera. Okay? And with that, I'll leave it up to the floor, and please come on up and ask your questions or make your comments.
I'm sorry, Bob. That name, Rusty Pale, working for the utility department.
Is it perfect or what?
Is that perfect? Yes, it is. You were born for this job, Rusty. That's what it is. You don't have to come up. You can just ask questions from where you're standing. It'll be very impromptu. Oh, they do? Okay. I got you.
Okay, my name's Alan Culver. I live on Aaron Street, which is the very first street, which is probably right by the entrance, okay, of one of your driveways or both of them.
Yes, sir.
Okay. That particular area right in there, okay, is heavily congested. Okay, the other apartment complex, they empty out into that particular street right there. Okay, you're going to have a real problem with congestion right there. Plus, you have the mailbox right there. Okay, something's got to be done about that on design.
We will.
Okay, now the other issue that I have is that our area, that other apartment complex that's right over there.
Going right across the street from where
right
we're
across
at?
the street.
Yes, sir.
Okay. That particular apartment complex has been a problem for the neighborhood. Okay. Especially on Aaron, okay, and the next street up, and just up the side street up on the other side, back behind. We have a continual problem, okay, with children, okay, during the summer, okay, forming little gangs and running up and down and going in and rattling the cars, and getting into the cars, and or, okay, getting into property, okay. We just had an incident on the 25th, okay, where somebody lost over $500 right down the corner, right on 33rd, right there, on Aaron, okay. I just went through in December, okay, along with at least 3 to 4 of my other neighbors, okay, of somebody coming through and raffling through the cars, okay. And this is predominantly from that apartment complex. This is a major concern for me. You're going to be putting 288 to 300 some odd people in a very small area, okay. Social economic income, okay, the environment, okay. You're going to vet the initial people coming into there, okay, and that all sounds great and good, okay. But what about later on as time progresses? Okay, we have extended family members that end up in those complexes. Okay, so these are things that I'm deeply concerned about. Okay, the other issue is, okay, you're going to be dumping more children into that particular environment.
Okay, I'm going to have to write these down there. You give me a lot of issues to talk to here, so if I miss one when I'm answering, just let me know.
You're going to be dumping a lot of them into there, okay? Has SAID looked at the extra work that's going to be coming into that part? Okay, where are these children going into? Okay, what about the bus load? Okay, all this going into that particular little bitty small area right there on that particular street. Okay, so these are main issues to me.
Yep.
Okay, I have lived there since 1999. Okay, I have seen this repetitive problem with that apartment complex down there, repetitively, every year. Okay, and constant crime rate on the street and houses being broken into. We have a large portion of that street right down there. We have alarm systems on the houses.
Yep.
Because of that. Okay. So these are things that I'm very deeply concerned about. Okay. The other issue is, will this raise my tax rate or will this lower my tax rate? Okay. Will this raise my property value or will this decrease my property value? These are issues, and they're very real. Okay. This has been brought up in a previous issue that was approved. Okay. As far as I'm concerned, what I saw on TV and everything, it was ramrodded through. And I'm not happy about it. Okay.
Okay, let me start what was your name again, sir? Alan. Well, Alan, when I first looked at this, that was one of my concerns, was that property, because I could see that. I could see your issue there, and we have that very same concern. Now, the income bases of tenants are going to be very different for that, what there's going to be in our community in Maplewood Park. Let's talk about the kids. Yeah, I can't tell you how many children there are going to be here. There will be some, but most of our tenant makeup are younger children. They're typically not teenage children. But what happens during the school year is that we have a little aftercare program within the office where we're at, in our community office, because we have it's the leasing office, and it's a community room, and they'll have little computers for the kids. And when they sign their lease, the mommy and daddy have to say, here are my children, here's where they're going to go to school, and here are their names, and they have to, when they get off the bus, or if they're taken in and out, they have to check in with our manager every day. Now, they're not allowed just to go home and be a latchkey child. They have to stay in the office with the manager until mommy or daddy gets home. And there are no, those are the rules. You cannot, I mean, you can. If you choose not to abide by them, then we're going to have to ask you to leave the community. Summertime is the very same kind of thing. We have programs that we use that we know where the children are during the day. Now, we're going to have managers that live on site, and we typically hire somebody who's a little bit on the more military side of life to run those properties, because it's just, you have to have somebody that's a little bit stronger in nature that is going to keep the peace and make sure that there's not a problem. The values of your property, values aren't going to change. I mean, we're putting a property in that each unit's going to be $120,000 a door just for the building of it. I don't know, on the appraisal district, we're on the commercial side, so we're paying a commercial load for taxes. And so the amount of taxes we pay are going to be pretty hefty. So that's we're not going to have an impact one way or the other on your particular community, other than the desirability may go up just a little bitty bit there because somebody sees a nice new property that has been built there. I'm not saying it's going to make your values go up, but they're certainly not going to go down. I'll put it that way. All those issues are our concerns also when we come into a community, because the last thing we want is a problem. And if we have, we're going to have police officers living within the community, and they're going to have their patrol cars there on some basis. So we will keep the peace. I hope that answers your question, Alan.
We are actually broadcasting live, so you're going to have to come up here and, I'm sorry.
My name is Elaine Tiedemann. I've lived in that neighborhood for over 20 years. My concern is we've got 2 apartment complexes already. We put up with the children. If it's spring break, it happens. If it's on a weekend, it happens. We had our window broken into on our vehicle parked out in the front of the house. This summer is worse. I've called the police for the noise, and they'll come around, but constantly in the summer, the noise. I'm also worried about the traffic. We have grandchildren. They stay with us. And that traffic on that one entrance is going to be horrible. We've already seen the increased traffic off that highway, and I've seen, I think someone died at that intersection of 33rd and Bryant. It was a fatality. I don't know if they lived at the apartment complex, but the traffic is horrible.
Yeah.
And I've lived there for over 20 years. The increase is horrible. And I don't feel like we need another apartment complex right there.
Well, what we're going to do is we are completing a traffic study, and we're going to be working with the city officials in their transportation department to make sure that we design this the way that they're going to be happy with. And we're not just going to willy-nilly something in and just say, oh, well, there it is. We do have to live with it, and we are concerned about those issues also because we're going to be a resident with you there. So these are concerns that we have, and we're going to work with the city to make sure that we soften any of those type of issues. Now, as far as the children, we're concerned about that also, not for our children, but from children in other communities coming across and vandalizing.
Yeah.
And we'll have people on patrol within our community.
Do you have other complexes in other towns that are right off a highway like that?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you?
We do.
Wow. Okay, and then my other concern, you're saying that you're going to have police officers there. Are there going to be security? You can have security, or you just think you're going to have police officers living there?
We're hoping we're going to have some police officers living there, yes. We do in most of our properties. We have, 1, maybe 2.
Okay.
And when you have a patrol car sitting there, makes a very, very big difference.
Okay, well, that's my concern.
Oh, well, I appreciate your concerns. Those are our concerns also.
All right, thank you.
Paul, I did get a phone call this afternoon. I did promise I would bring it up to you.
Sure.
The question was, will you have a fence around your property to keep the kids from wandering off into that brush area in the back?
Yes, we do. Yes, what we're going to do, I don't know.
And what kind of fence do you plan on having?
On the neighborhood that is adjacent to us, we're going to do something more of a screening there. We haven't designed it just yet, but it'll probably be something like a 6-foot cedar fence. And then on the sides and along towards Bryant Street, we'll have something that's a little more decorative, like a decorative iron type fence, that type thing. So yeah, there will be fences all around the property. Yeah.
And one more. They're wondering if we would be able to get a speed bump to slow the traffic down a little bit. So that was one of the issues that somebody brought up.
Well, that's a good question. Now, you're talking about on 33rd Street?
On West 33rd Street.
Yeah,
Maybe even a stoplight at the corner of West 33rd and Bryant.
If you will approve it, we will install it. Yes, sir. But, that's public right-of-way, so we can't just do what we want to there. Come on up, Alan.
This is for the city, okay? All right, we have had a great need in that particular area for at least some small park of some kind, okay, for the kids to play in, okay? And it just never has happened. And with this coming along now, okay, if this happens, we definitely need something like that in that area, okay? Because the YMCA's and all that are too far away, okay? And for the kids, okay, to go over to the other park, okay, the other good park over there with the, the skate park and all that, that's across that big road right there, okay? That's not a good thing. We need to have something there, or some kind of program, or some kind of thing where the city comes in, picks up the kids and takes them to the Y. We have to have that kind of thing going on. If we don't, we're going to end up with that same situation we got right now with that apartment complex down there.
Alan, we're going to have our own summer programs where we do have transportation that's going to take our kids, not other ones. We'll take them to the Y. we'll take them to various places. They're going to keep them pretty busy because we do not want little latchkey children running around, and that is a problem. And our manager is going to make very sure she keeps control.
From the city standpoint, I'm an old parks employee, so I can speak to it to some extent. We do realize within the city, and it is within our parks master plan, parks and open space master plan, we do have holes and needs within the city in various locations, especially for some smaller neighborhood parks, like what you're suggesting. And it's one of those things as we move forward with looking out into the future with this plan, we do have key targeted areas that we know we need to address. It's just, it's one of those things comes down to placement and funding and finding the necessary funds to create a park and to maintain it once we actually create it, because they are quite expensive to maintain once you actually build them. Most of the time, finding the money to build it's not the issue. It's the maintenance after the fact that tends to be the problem.
Right. Now, I also will caveat, okay, on Bryant there, that turnoff to come up 133rd, 33rd Street right here. That particular location, okay, I know there has been at least 5 deaths, okay, since I've been there in 99, okay? 5 deaths right there. That, put it this way, if somebody wants to go study a haunt area, I probably figure that one's haunted. Okay? Now, I was sitting in my house when I heard the first one. And I heard it. It was bad. It was really bad.
Wow. Now, was that on Bryant Street?
Yes, that turn when you
Okay,
come
yeah.
right into, right there.
Yeah.
It's an uncontrolled intersection for the most
is.
part, except for the stop sign sitting there on 33rd Street.
And it is really bad, okay? To get across there is really bad.
Oh, to get across.
Especially
yes.
right now, okay, with the traffic conditions that we have now. Okay, it's really dangerous, really dangerous.
We'll work with the traffic department, see if there's something that we could do to help that. Can be. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I know there's more questions out here. Well,
I guess no more concerns, no more issues. That pretty much ends the town hall meeting. Like I said, on March the 17th, council will hear a pitch to approve a resolution of support. At that point, they will make a decision whether or not we're going to support it or not. So that's the agenda. From here until then, feel free to give me a call. I'm at 655-0824 if you want some more clarification. Or go to the city website. There should be information there as well. So.
thank you very much.
Thank you very much for. I really
if you have
appreciate
any
all coming.
questions for me in the future, Bob has my information and he can put you in touch with me. Thank you for coming.